And we are back with the fourth segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this fourth segment, we are going to be doing our preseason recap of all of the games that went down yesterday. I already talked about the 76ers game like a little bit when I was doing the Paul George segment, but I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit more about it again, just because I didn't really talk about any of the key contributing players for this game. So again, this was the game that Paul George ended up getting injured, and it could trickle down into him getting injured for most of the regular season. We'll see how that goes. Again, not entirely sure exactly how that's going to work. But the 76ers, they ended up winning 104-89, an easy win primarily due to Trae Young and giving them the ball, essentially. I mean, he turned the ball over a lot in this game. But for the 76ers, the leading scorer was Kelly Oubre Jr., and he ended up scoring 14 points. Obviously, everyone knows Kelly Oubre, but I have to put Jr. in that because, this isn't the first Kelly Oubre. Tyrese Maxey ended up also being the leading scorer for the 76ers, recorded 14 points and ended with 7 assists as well. Again, these starters, they should not be playing 26, 27 minutes in this game. They just should not. And we saw the problem with that with Paul George immediately getting injured after 12 minutes of playing. And injuries, they are a big problem. And when they happen in the preseason, it could trickle down. I'm just throwing that out there for all of you 76ers fans. There was also KJ Martin, who came off the bench 22 minutes, ended with 11 points. The 76ers, they shot decent enough from the field to end up winning. Again, a big reason why they won was because of Trae Young's turnovers, and Trae Young was not happy in the press conference with those turnovers that he got. And he ended up having 10 points, 9 assists as well. So pretty standard Trae Young performance, 4 for 12 from the field. Again, rather inefficient game from Trae Young, but this is sort of to be expected from Trae Young with the shots that he takes, and not only that, just his overall field goal percentage throughout his career. He's been rather inefficient recently. Now, other contributing players for the Atlanta Hawks, Zachary Rasacher, the number 1 pick in the draft, he ended up scoring 14 points and recorded 8 rebounds in this game. So far in this preseason, he's been very promising. So again, if everything can fall into place, he did go 5 for 11 from the field. However, he did shoot 1 of 5 from 3. So that's really going to be the only thing that needs to be improved on for Zachary, his 3-point shooting. But again, so far he's showing a lot of promise for being a forward that is, I believe, 6'10", I want to say, maybe 6'9". Let me just go ahead and check his bio. Yeah, 6'9". So again, showing a lot of promise for the Atlanta Hawks and something that they can look back on. Now, next game that we're going to talk about is the Nets absolutely destroying the Washington Wizards. I predict that the Wizards are going to be the worst team in the NBA, period. They're going to be worse than the Pistons this season, in my opinion. And the leading scorer for the Brooklyn Nets was Cam Thomas, ended with 24 minutes, 17 points, and was also able to record 5 rebounds along with that. And guess what? Ben Simmons made an appearance in this game. Oh my God, he played in a game that doesn't matter. He had 11 points in 13 minutes. Oh my goodness, what a fantastic performance from Ben Simmons. 5 for 7 from the field, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. Just beautiful game from Ben Simmons. Everybody give him a round of applause. He was able to suit up for a game that didn't matter. And Dennis Schroeder ended up recording 13 points as well, ended up getting 7 assists along with that. And the lineup is going to be very interesting. If this is how they plan that their starting lineup to be, it is a little bit interesting how they're going with it. I mean, Dorian Finney-Smith was the power forward in this game, and considering that he's 6'7", that would put Ben Simmons at the center position, ironically enough. And again, Ben Simmons, he only played 13 minutes. I guess, he got scared or something, but there was also Jalen Wilson that came off the bench, 14 points in 22 minutes, and Shake Milton, who ended with 16 points in 18 minutes. So overall, pretty solid production from everybody. And when Ben Simmons is scoring in double digits, it's an amazing game. Everyone's got to woo, throw the parade already. But on the Wizards side, however, they did not play so well, of course, because, I think they're going to be the worst team ever in the entire NBA. And they Jordan Poole was the leading scorer. Of course he was. And, of course, he also ended with the second most shot attempts of anyone on the team. 13 points, 1 for 4 from 3, 5 for 11 from the field. Kyle Kuzma, however, was awful. I can't sugarcoat that. He wasn't very good. He missed every single three-pointer he took, and he took 6 of them. And he went 3 for 12 from the field for 7 points. Again, just bad. And I feel like this is sort of the expectation for the Wizards, and this is going to be a trend that's going to happen throughout the entirety of the regular season for the Wizards. I think they're going to just be awful. And despite, acquiring a rather competent center in Valanciunas, I don't think that's going to change anything. And Marvin Bagley III is also on this team as well, ended with 10 points. And again, just, average Wizards game. I don't expect much from the Wizards, and I don't think any of you guys should expect much either. Now, the Clippers, they matched up against the Dallas Mavericks. The Dallas Mavericks have yet to win a preseason game, and they still haven't won a preseason game. So, of course, this team is heavily reliant on Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, who didn't play in this game, which is the smart move. You should not play your two most important players, 76ers. They did play Klay Thompson, however, and he recorded 0 points, 0 for 9 from the field, 0 for 6 from 3. So all of the Klay Thompson jokes are going to be back at full force, going 0 for 9 in a game that doesn't matter. I don't think this is going to be the break of this season, obviously. I think, it's just a bad night for Klay Thompson, and it's normal. When you're a shooter, you're going to be hot, and when you're a shooter, there's times where you're not going to be hot. It's just that's just how it works. And the leading scorer for the Dallas Mavericks in this game was Jaden Hardy. Ended the game with 16 points. However, Quentin Grimes ended up scoring 20 points coming off of the bench for the Dallas Mavericks. And so that was really like the big highlight of the game and the best player for the Dallas Mavericks in this one. Next is the the Clippers. On the Clippers side, James Harden ended with 12 assists and 10 points. So solid performance coming in from James Harden. And let's see, he did shoot 3 for 12, however, from the field. He only took 2 free throws, which I think is a career low for James Harden. And he did shoot 2 for 6 from 3. And again, it's like, you can't really rely on James Harden to run an offense as you could when he was on Houston. So take that with a grain of salt if you are a Clippers fan going into this season without having Kawhi Leonard due to an injury. So it could be bad, it could be good, we'll have to see. But so far, James Harden has not shown any flashes of his days in Houston when he's on the Clippers. And Kevin Porter Jr. for the Clippers. Yes, he's on the Clippers now. He actually ended up scoring 18 points, went 8 for 15 from the field, and was 1 for 3 from 3. So he was the leading scorer for the Clippers in this matchup. The Clippers were awful at shooting the 3-ball. They shot 27% from the field compared to the Dallas Mavericks' 37% from the field. But in the end, it didn't matter because their field goal percentage was almost 9% greater than the Dallas Mavericks' field goal percentage. So again, this was just an overall solid game from everybody on the Clippers aside from James Harden. And, I guess that's a good sign. Again, they beat the Dallas Mavericks without Klay Thompson or Kyrie. And not Klay Thompson. Well, technically without Klay Thompson, because Klay Thompson didn't do anything in this game aside from shooting up bricks. And they beat them without Kyrie, Luka Doncic, and Klay Thompson. So you can take that with a grain of salt. I don't really think that's going to change the trajectory on the Clippers. I just think that the Clippers are going to be a relatively mediocre team. They're not going to be the best team. It's all going to be dependent on how well James Harden can play. And given the recent history with James Harden, I don't think it's going to go that well. But next game on this list is the Grizzlies going up against the Pacers. Now, since the Grizzlies are smart, they did not play Ja Morant. Makes complete total sense. Again, he did suffer an injury in one of the previous preseason games that they ended up playing. So that's probably a reason why he didn't suit up. But that's another player that's, in my opinion, should not have even been bothering and participating in the preseason games, because look at what happens now. Now he suffers another leg injury, which seems to be a common trend for Ja Morant. And the best player for the Grizzlies ended up being Desmond Bane. He recorded 23 points, actually almost was able to outscore the entire starting lineup. Again, almost was able to outscore them. I think it was almost. Let me just do some math real quick. Let's see. So that's 8. 8 plus 16 is 24, I think. Forgive me if I messed up that math. I'm not really good at math. Yes, it's 24. He almost outscored the entire starting roster for the Grizzlies. Almost. Just 1 point short. And Zach Edey had 23 points and 9 rebounds. Zach Edey could be one of the more a lot of people were expecting Zach Edey to be a little bit more like Boban in his career because of, just how tall he is and how short he is. But he's surprisingly slow he is, excuse me. I said tall and short, that's my bad. But he's surprisingly rather quick on his feet for being a 7'4". He's not as quick as Victor Wembanyama, obviously, but he's still rather quick enough to move his feet. And again, you expect this from someone being so young. He went 10 for 15 from the field and was super efficient. And I mean, obviously he should be super efficient. He's 7'4". He can dunk the ball rather easily, but this is good. This is some good news for Memphis. And would he be able to win Rookie of the Year? He could. He totally could. And Scottie Pippen Jr. was on the Grizzlies now, ended up going 3 for 10, 9 points. And for the Pacers side, the leading scorer for the Pacers ended up being Jarris Walker. And I don't think they're looking to play Halliburton at all in this game, which is really, or in any preseason game, which makes total sense. You should not bother in playing Tyrese Halliburton at all in the preseason. And again, he ended the game with 15 points. Benedict Mathurin, forgive me if I messed up that last name, 12 points, went 4 for 12 from the field. The Pacers as a whole and as a team, they did shoot better than the Grizzlies from 3, and they did shoot better from the field than the Grizzlies. But at the end of the day, the Grizzlies ultimately ended up prevailing, and I believe it was mainly because they ended up getting a lot more possessions than the Pacers to win the game. They had 92 possessions where they actually took a shot compared to the Pacers' 79 possessions where they took a shot. So take that with a grain of salt, if you will. And next is the Bucks going up against the Chicago Bulls. Damian Lillard ended up scoring 20 points for them, and Giannis Antetokounmpo scored 24 points and 10 rebounds. So overall solid performance from all of those guys. And Giannis, he had 16 free throws in this game, and he made 12 of them, which is, very efficient and very good if you're Giannis. And the Chicago Bulls, they actually had, Adam Sanogo, the center for the Bulls, ended up recording 16 points and 15 rebounds, being the leading scorer for the Bulls. So overall, just a very solid game from both of these teams. The Bulls, they shot a lot of three-pointers. They shot a lot of three-pointers in this game. They shot 54 three-pointers in this game and made 17 of them. Meanwhile, the Bucks ended up going 11 for 34, but, they still ultimately prevailed. And it was really the difference in the win was the field goal percentage, 38% from the field, and compared to the Bucks is 43% from the field. So that's the recap of the preseason games. The preseason games that are going to happen today, there's a lot of them. The Knicks are matching up the Hornets. The Lakers are going to play the Warriors. Celtics are playing the Raptors. Spurs are going to play the Heat. Pelicans are going to play the Rockets. The Thunder are going to face off against the Nuggets. And the Kings are going to go up against the Jazz. So those are all the games that are going to happen for the rest of the day. Viral Reds in the chat. Keep it up, bro. Appreciate it, man. Thank you for the support. So now we're going to go ahead and go into the 5th segment where I talk about some basketball news, just the overall basketball news that's going on. I want to fit it all into one segment. And the primary thing that I'm going to talk about is how there are now betting odds for which coach is going to get fired first. Yes, you heard that right. There are betting odds on figuring out which coach is going to get fired first this season, which I'm going to get into right after this short break, so be sure to stay tuned.